The Paraná used to be unstoppable, but now it's vanishing, and when a giant river dries up, an entire continent begins to hurt. The Paraná River, and one of the longest, most powerful rivers in the world, is shrinking, not inch by inch, but by kilometers. And this isn't just about water. This is about food, energy, lives. This is about South America itself. Subscribe now to Myths and Mysticism of Rivers for more deep stories from the lifeblood of our planet, the vein of a continent. The Paraná River flows over 4,880 kilometers, winding through Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina before joining the Rio de la Plata and spilling into the Atlantic Ocean. It has been a natural border, a sacred symbol, and most of all, a giver of life. They call it the river that makes things grow. The Paraná feeds crops, generates electricity, transports goods, and sustains wildlife. It touches the lives of over 50 million people, but something is wrong. In recent years, the water has been fading. In 2021, the river reached its lowest level in nearly 80 years. Entire stretches of it dried up, leaving boats stranded and crops scorched. And while the world looked elsewhere, South America held its breath. A river starved by the sky. The reason is simple and terrifying. Climate change. For the past few years, rainfall across southern Brazil and parts of Paraguay has been far below average. The rains that once fed the Paraná's many tributaries, like the Iguaçu and the Tietê, have weakened. The lush forests are drying, the soil is cracking, and the skies have stopped giving. What was once a generous river has become a shallow stream in many places. This isn't just a seasonal drought. It's a multi-year decline that scientists fear may become the new normal. Hydropower falters, blackouts begin. One of the Paraná's greatest strengths is its ability to generate electricity. The Itaipu Dam, on the border between Brazil and Paraguay, is the second largest hydroelectric plant in the world by energy production. Together with the Yacyretá Dam, downstream, these giants power millions of homes. But what happens when there's no water to turn the turbines? In 2021, Brazil, a country that gets about 60% of its electricity from hydropower, faced rolling blackouts and energy shortages. Paraguay lost revenues. Argentina struggled to cool its cities during extreme heat waves. The river that once lit the continent was now dimming its lights. Crops die, prices rise. So the Paraná isn't just about power. It's about food. Soy, wheat, corn, sugarcane. South America grows some of the world's largest supplies, and the Paraná River is how these goods move from field to port. But with water levels dropping, cargo ships were forced to carry lighter loads. Shipping costs soared, exports fell. Local farmers, already strained by heat and dryness, watched their profits sink with the waterline. In Argentina, some farmers called it a slow-motion collapse. In Paraguay, the government declared a national emergency. And in cities like Rosario, people began to realize, when the Paraná hurts, everyone pays the price, and the riverbed reveals its bones. As the runners retreat, they leave behind more than dry sand. Old shipwrecks have reappeared, bones of long-forgotten animals. Pollution buried for decades now rests in plain sight. The exposed riverbed tells stories of the past, but of a possible future. Dead fish float in shrinking pools. Entire ecosystems, turtles, jaguars, fish, and birds, are scrambling to survive. The wetlands around the Paraná, once lush and diverse, are burning in unprecedented wildfires. The silence of the disappearing water is deafening. The web that unravels. A river is never just a river. It is a spine, a nervous system of life. And when the Paraná begins to dry, the consequences ripple out in every direction. The Pantanal, one of the largest tropical wetlands in the world, lies in the upper basin of the Paraná. This place is often called the lungs of South America, second only to the Amazon in ecological richness. It is home to over 4,700 species of plants and animals, from bright macaws to stealthy jaguars, from capybaras lounging in the reeds to anacondas sliding through marshes. But with the river's decline, these wetlands are losing their water and their soul. Without the steady flow of the Paraná and its tributaries, the wetlands turn into grasslands, then into dry, cracked wastelands, and fire follows. In recent years, wildfires have ravaged thousands of square kilometers across the Pantanal, not the natural kind that clears old growth, but the kind sparked by extreme dryness and desperation. In 2020 alone, nearly 30% of the Pantanal burned. Animals fled. Many didn't make it. Conservationists found scorched carcasses of jaguars and caimans, still warm. Birds flew in circles, confused. Turtles baked alive in dried-up ponds. One biologist said, "It felt like mourning an entire planet. A collapse you can't see from space." It's not just the big animals. Tiny freshwater snails, invisible to the eye, are disappearing. So are the insects that feed on them, and the birds that feed on those insects. Chain by chain, link by link, the food web unravels. The Paraná once hosted migratory fish species that swam upstream for hundreds of kilometers. They fed millions and spawned new generations. Now, with low water and dam flow, many can't even begin their journey. Populations of a dorado, pacu, and a surubim are crashing. When fish disappear, it doesn't just affect biodiversity. It takes away protein from entire riverine communities. Children grow up hungry, not just for food, but for connection to something their grandparents once called sacred, the return of the green ghost. As the river slows and warms, stagnant pools form, and with them comes a silent threat: cyanobacteria. These blue-green algae thrive in nutrient-rich, warm, slow-moving waters. They bloom across the surface like oil slicks, choking oxygen, poisoning fish, and making the water dangerous to drink or even touch. Dogs die after playing in the water. Cattle fall sick. Local people report skin burns and nausea. It's not just an ecological collapse. It's a public health crisis. And the river, once trusted and revered, now feels like a betrayal. Indigenous voices, ignored. For centuries, indigenous communities lived in harmony with the river. They fished, traded, worshipped, and listened to its rhythms. Now, they watch helplessly as their canoes sit idle. The fish are gone, the water is thick and brown, and the forest around them has begun to crackle with fire. One Guarani elder said, "The river was our father. Now he's dying." And no one listens to a dying father. Their voices are not in headlines, but they carry truths that cities have forgotten. That when we turn rivers into machines, they eventually break. Is there hope for the Paraná? Yes, but not without change. Conservationists are working to restore parts of the wetlands. New talks have begun between Brazil, Paraguay, and Argentina to coordinate water use. Scientists are calling for reforestation, better irrigation policies, and a shift from over-reliance on hydropower to more diverse, sustainable energy. But time is running out, and rivers don't wait for policy. When a giant cries out, the Paraná is shrinking. But what's truly shrinking is our connection to the land, to water, to one another. We think of rivers as resources, but they are relationships. They are what tie people to food, cities to the forest, and present to future. If we let the Paraná disappear, it won't just be a South American tragedy. It will be a mirror and showing every country what happens when we forget to care for what sustains us. So ask yourself, so if the world's 7th longest river can begin to vanish, What else might follow? If this story moved you, don't let it fade like the river. Subscribe to Myths and Mysticism of Rivers. Like, share, and leave a comment. What does your local river mean to you? Because every voice matters, and every river needs one.